try and justify the offer. Don't be silly when you make offers. Don't make silly offers. There are offers that are silly. Property is 250,000, you're offering them 200,000 pounds. Some agents will bang the phone. They won't even talk to you again. You know. So if you make a reasonable offer, but before you make the offer, there's something you've got to do. Do a little bit of research in that area that you want to buy a property. Go on to Rightmove, go to Zoopla, check what property prices, similar property prices are like in that area. Check the last time a property was sold in that area and how much it was sold for. These tools are available on Rightmove and Zoopla. And then that can give you a guide to how much you can offer. Because when you're talking to an estate agent with some kind of information and experience, they listen to you. Because you can tell the estate agent, look, you know, a similar property was sold on that street just 6 months ago for £235,000. I mean, this is kind of overpriced. So the agent knows that you've done your research. And then they can, when they are talking to the vendor, they can say to the vendor, look, really and truly, you know, a similar property has been sold in this street for, maybe that other property was run down or something, but at least you have the information. Because no two properties are very exactly similar. It could be 2-bedroom houses, but one might have had an extension, new bathroom, new kitchen and all that. The value, it's improved, increased in value. And then the other one doesn't have those features. So it's not out of place to see, you know, two similar properties on one street with a price difference of say 30,000-50,000 pounds, because you don't know what improvements have done. But because you don't know, just make the offer based on the information you have until that information becomes available to you. Next slide, please. Once you make the offer and the offer is accepted, the next thing is to commence with formal mortgage application. Go to the mortgage advisor and say, yeah, I'm ready. But before then, try and see if you can get what we call a decision in principle. As a mortgage advisor, we don't charge you anything until we get a decision in principle for you, first of all. That decision in principle is to say that we will go to the bank and we say, these are the information and documents available for this person and he wants a mortgage. Based on this information, are you happy to lend him this much, to lend her this much? And the bank will say, based on the information available to us, we are happy to lend that this much, subject to formal application. So decision in principle is not the real deal. It is just to say that the bank has had initial information about you, about your wages, about where you work, and they've assessed that, and then they say, based on this information, we can lend you this much. So that decision in principle, estate agents value it a lot, because what it tells them is that you can get a mortgage, so they can proceed with the house sale process. And until they see the mortgage in principle, they will really not take your offer seriously, and they will listen to other offers, and anybody they think is more serious in buying the property, they will deal with the person. So the decision in principle is there and you already have it. And then you can use it now to go and negotiate offers. But your formal mortgage application, it comes after the decision in principle. That's where we now make a formal mortgage application and push all the documents to the lenders. But the way I do it is, because I wouldn't like to waste my time and the time of my clients. Before you come to us, and before we even make any moves, I will give you a list of the documentation that will be required to make the formal mortgage application. Because if you don't meet those requirements at that point, what's the point? So if you give me those documents and you meet those requirements, then I will have those documents on file, and then I can go to the bank and say, these are the information available, and I can verify them, and I've got the documents. So the moment you are getting the decision in principle, the chances of you getting the mortgage offer is very high. Because then there will be no hidden stuff. You can't come and tell me you are £50,000 per annum and I haven't seen your payslip. Whatever you've told me has to match the documents you've given to me. And whatever document you've given to me is what I'm going to use to make the application for you. So if I ask you how much you're earning and you say around 45, 46, where is the pay slip? Or your SA 302. So because it would be foolhardy of me to take that on face value and run with it, and then a few weeks down the line, you get your pay slip, it happens to be that, you're on £33,000. Meanwhile, I've been wasting weeks talking to the bank and acting on the basis that you're on £45,000. So we get the information and the documents backing them up first of all before we make any move, because it also helps you and saves you time, and you know where exactly you're heading to. So after the formal mortgage application, the next thing is just the offer letter. If everything adds up, the bank makes a formal offer. That offer letter is what exactly says that we are ready to offer you this mortgage. And then you still have to accept the offer, because the contract is about offer and acceptance. The bank offers you the mortgage. If you're happy with those conditions, you say, I accept the offer. The moment you accept it, it's binding on the bank. Yeah? The moment you accept the offer letter, it's binding that you've accepted that, offer letter, and then we can run with that. Offer letters can be changed they can be withdrawn if there are material changes in your circumstances after that offer was made. For example, after the offer was made and you lost your job, the bank can withdraw the offer based on that. If there have been material changes affecting the property, let's say during investigation or searches by the solicitor, they found out that there's a title issue with the property, the bank can withdraw the offer. And once the offer letter is accepted, you now know that the funds will be made available to you. So the offer letter is the big deal. The moment it's issued and you accept it, the mortgage is as good as done. The remaining jobs is now for the solicitor and the vendors and the estate agents to do, and then you're ready because the funds are already there. Next slide, please. And once that is done, there is exchange of contracts and completion. So when you exchange contracts, you see, when you see property boards, it said sold, STC. Any property that is sold and the board is out there, it says sold, STC. STC simply means subject to contracts. So this property has been sold subject to contracts. So contracts have to be exchanged before that the sold sign is there doesn't mean that the property is gone. If contracts have not been exchanged, the property has not been sold, in real terms. It just means that we have agreed a sale on this property subject to exchange of contract. That's where the exchange of contracts come in. At the point of exchange of contract, that's when you pay the deposits. And that deposit commits you to buying that property. From that point in time, you can no longer pull out of that deal. The moment you exchange contracts. But up until you exchange contracts, you can still pull out of the deal. You're not tied to the sale of the property until contracts are exchanged. And at the point of exchange, that's where you now pay the deposits, and then so completion between the time of exchange of contracts and completion usually is 28 days. Most vendors prefer 28 days between the time of exchange of contracts and completion. Some exchange and completion can even take place the same day if you both agree on that. Some can take, can be 14 days or 7 days, depending on how everyone wants to play it. So you can exchange contracts and then you complete. So on the completion day is the day the balance of the funds are now transferred into the vendor solicitor's account, and they confirm it, and then the deal is sealed. The title of that property is now transferred to you, and it becomes your property upon completion. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so as a first-time buyer, there are schemes that the government have put in place to help first-time buyers to get onto the property ladder. So I'm going to run through some of these schemes for you, and I'm going to, focus on these schemes and just make sure that we understand it a lot, because these are things that we need to know, and for you to know the schemes and the help that are out there for you. If you find any of them useful and you feel like you want to take advantage of them, you take advantage of them. Number one I want to talk about is the help to buy ISA. The help to buy ISA is like any other cash ISA. ISA is a kind of independent savings account, individual savings account. So it's a kind of savings account where you can save money in there, and the money, the interest there is not taxed. And it helps you with your tax allowance as well. So the government have made provisions for help to buy ISA. So it's a kind of cash ISA, and it can be used as a cash ISA as well, but it is now targeted at your first property. So you're basically trying to save towards buying your first property, using that ISA as a vehicle, as a savings instrument. So what this ISA does is, your savings will be boosted by the government to the tune of 25%. So whatever you put in that ISA, the government is going to boost it by 25%. The maximum payment you can make into that ISA account every month is £200. But you can deposit a lump sum of £1,200 as your first payment into the ISA account. Subsequently, you now be paying £200 into that account maximum, but there is no minimum. So you can pay in any amount as long as it's not more than £200 within throughout the course of the month. But every month, the maximum you pay into it is £200. But the government bonus only kicks in when you have up to £1,600 in the account. So if you have up to £1,600 in that help to buy ISA, the government boosts it by £400, which is 25% of £1,600. The maximum bonus you can get from that help to buy ISA is £3,000. And for you to get that maximum bonus, you must have had up to £12,000 in the ISA account. That's the help to buy ISA account. So the features, the minimum savings amount to qualify is £1,600. The maximum benefit is £3,000. You need £12,000 in the help to buy ISA to qualify for that maximum. It's available per first-time buyer, not per household. So if there are couples, if there's a couple in the house, a husband and wife, it's per first, and the both of you qualify as first-time buyers, that ISA is available to each of you. It's not per household. So each of you can individually have your own help to buy ISA, and you can both benefit individually from that bonus from the government. So if the husband opens his own account and has £12,000 in it, and the wife opens her own account and has £12,000 in it, £3,000 in each, that's £6,000. So each of you qualify individually. So it's per first-time buyer, not per household. So it must be included with the consolidated funds at the completion of house purchase. So what this means is that you cannot use that first-time help to buy ISA as deposit, as exchange deposits. Now, there's a difference between your mortgage deposit and your exchange deposit. So you cannot use the help to buy ISA as exchange. Exchange deposit is basically what you put down to the vendor or to the house seller to commit yourself to buying that house. And the exchange deposit is different from the mortgage deposit. So the mortgage deposit basically is maybe the 5% you want to put down as deposit for your mortgage. But the exchange deposit can be any amount. To commit you to buying that house, the seller might say, I need you to put down £1,000 as commitment. You cannot use the Help to Buy ISA for that purpose. The Help to Buy ISA has to be part of the consolidated funds used towards the completion of the purchase of that property. So if the seller says, I need you to commit yourself, to the tune of £2,000 on this property, and then I will reserve it for you. That £2,000 cannot come out of this. It's not part of what government is going to give to you. You cannot use the government bonus towards that. It comes out of it. It's called exchange deposit. That's different from your mortgage deposit. That bonus will come in when the funds, the consolidated funds, will be now transferred to the seller of that property. That's when that becomes available. Next slide, please. So, sorry, go to the previous slide, please. There's something I wanted to. So you can use the Help to Buy ISA with other government schemes, like Help to Buy Equity Loan Scheme and Shared Ownership. I'm going to talk about that later on. It's part of what I want to discuss with you. Okay, next slide, please. Now, to be eligible for the Help to Buy ISA, you must be over 60 years or over. You must have a valid national insurance number. You must be a UK resident. You must be a first-time buyer, and you must not own a property anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. You are not categorized as a first-time buyer if you own a property anywhere at all in the world. There was this man that came from Nigeria to buy a property here, and he owns a very big house in Nigeria. And in the course of his interaction with the solicitors, he told them that he owns his